Welcome to Serving Locally with me, your host, Mrs.Deines, a podcast where we spotlight service in the Longmont and surrounding communities. All right, let's connect. Hi, welcome to today's episode. Today we have Matthew Blank from RockNamasteady, and we'll just start out with who are you and what is your project in just a quick overview.
Sure. Well, I'm a Longmont resident, and I have a project that is unique and, to my knowledge, something that hasn't been done before. I'm a prolific songwriter, and I'm also a social worker. And so I tend to write about subjects of things dealing with the human condition, things I witness as a social worker, things I experience or witness in my own life, and things happening in the world. And so what I do is I create a set list on a theme, which could be something that I come up with or could be something suggested or asked of me. And then I write a cycle of songs or an arc of songs on that theme to then share with an audience. And so my gigs, although they are entertaining, they're actually bringing out issues around that theme. Mm-hmm. And when I'm performing, I project the lyrics so that people are following along, and I break the fourth wall so that there's actually a conversation happening between songs and on that topic.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Matthew, can you give us a little bit of background about your project?
Well, sure. I've been performing as a songwriter for a long time. And over time, I've found that some of my songs naturally fit for example, I've performed songs at funerals and weddings, and for special occasions. And at some point, I realized that gigging with a band and leading a band was great, and I love doing that, but that I feel like I was meant to do more because of what I write and how I see the world. So this has developed into a thing where I'm a little more intentional about when and where I play and who I'm playing to, and so I see the opportunity to use songs in a way that's group building, possibly, therapeutic at times. So it's something that's really evolved organically. And now I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I find people to work with me around a vision of it.
I know music can be very healing.
Absolutely.
It can be very destructive at times also.
Yeah.
So it's good that you're using your powers for good.
For good.
What is your focus at RockNamasteady?
Well, the focus is to use songs in a healing way, in a productive, constructive way. And so sometimes that means writing a song for a particular occasion or for a particular person that might be healing. So sometimes it's a one-off type thing. And at other times, I'm doing a set list, with the intention of really covering a theme for a group.
Mm-hmm. So it's your storytelling,
and always, when we write, I think we always are writing about ourselves to some degree. Mm-hmm. So to some degree, my songs are autobiographical, and so I share about myself, or I share where a song might have come from, or how it was inspired. And I also recognize that people hear, they get what they need. They hear things differently. So I'm sorry, I forgot what your question was.
I forgot what it was too. No, that was good though. It was something about storytelling.
Right. Stories are powerful, and people connect with them. And along with the lyrics, I project images, so it's a further way for people to maybe connect or identify, help bring out the lyrics. And so there's also, I'm always giving the song context, but I'm also making suggestions about, like, a song may have questions connected with it. As you hear the song, you might want to consider, this. You might want to consider something about yourself or your experience.
I like the idea of therapy in song. It's different.
It is. It's very powerful. Yeah. And I've actually, as a social worker, I've used songs in a therapeutic setting multiple times. You can do a lot with a good song.
Yeah, that's great. Who are you trying to reach?
Great question. Everybody. I feel like my audience, like, it needs to be folks who can handle mature themes for the most part. But really, I want to reach everybody, because everybody can benefit from this type of, art that heals, like an experience, so this is an experience, what I'm doing, as opposed to being, entertainment. It's really an experience that can affect the individual and a group. So what I really feel passionate about is playing for groups, and that can be a pre-existing group or one that comes together because a particular theme is meaningful for them.
Awesome. What makes the work of your project different than other similar projects?
That's a really good question, because I don't know of any. I am not aware of anything like this. And I've talked to a lot of musicians. I've talked to people that are doing different kinds of projects, like at the national level, like within social work, or and everyone I've talked to has said that they've never heard of something like this. So I don't believe that there is.
I'm curious as to how you came up with this idea then. You're just creative.
It was, I'm just creative. I think really it was an organic experience. And along with being a social worker, I consider myself to be a spiritual person. So my path, if you will, for me is about, what can I do in service? I mean, that's a question that we're getting to, but what can I do to make the world a better place? And as a social worker, I absolutely see myself as a change agent. So outside of my field, I can I can do what I'm doing anywhere, for anyone. Again, I forgot what your question was.
What makes your work different? And it's very unique.
Right. And it enables me, I can, like, if I have my guitar, I don't really need much to do this. I have a group that I work with. And so, ideally I'm playing with the group, and this is a vision that I enjoy sharing with people. And it's, I think it's at its best when the songs are fleshed out with different instruments and different voices. But sometimes it's me and my guitar, and sometimes it has to be that. But it's great to be able to be that mobile and adaptable.
That's great. I like that. What are your greatest needs?
My greatest needs. Well, I currently need a real website, which I'm working on. I think my biggest needs, I need a female vocalist
Okay.
and I need a bass player.
Okay. Are you connected with other organizations that you are able to like cross do stuff with or partner up with?
That's a good question.
Or do you want that?
I do want that. At the moment, I'm active in a large men's community, and so there's a lot there because the members, the members have a lot of connections themselves. But no, I'd like to be. I look forward to being more connected with local organizations that I can partner with and do these things with. For now, I've mostly been doing, something here and something there. And so one of my hopes in talking to you are some of those connections.
I got a list for you.
Well, great. There's a lot. I mean, this area is so rich, and there are so many organizations here that are doing, cutting edge progressive work. I know of some of them, but what I would like, I guess you could call this a need. I would like for people to reach out to me and say, hey, we have a need here. Or, we would love to work on a special project, because what I'm doing really lends itself to special projects. I can write for a particular issue or project. It's what I do, and it comes pretty quickly to me once I get if I have a conversation that's inspiring, or I'm inspired by what somebody's doing, I start going there. When I spoke about writing a song for a special occasion, if you don't mind, I'd like to touch on that, because it's I shared a link with you. One of my dear friends is a Vietnam vet who has this incredible story about his personal experience. And so I found myself inspired to write a song about his experience with the intention that it would be healing for him. And it was a very powerful thing. And the great thing about doing this kind of work is if I write something for somebody who's experiencing some kind of trauma or challenge, it has a universal effect, done right or done in a certain way. So for me, that's the best thing I can do.
That's great. How can people contact and find out more about RockNamasteady?
They can email me or call me until my website's actually up. And I'm on Facebook. They can look me up on Facebook and message me. Are you able? I'm assuming that you're able to put that information.
Yep, it'll all be
when
in
you
the
post
description,
this.
and I'll put it in my link tree.
Okay, wonderful.
Also, so anybody can if you're on my podcast or even not, there's some that are on there that I just think that are amazing that I just haven't got on here yet, but I have them all on the link tree on my serving partnerships.
Sure.
And I am always on Facebook sharing. If you post something, I'm probably forwarding it on to my Mrs. Longmont and my Serving Locally.
Great.
Instagram and
So that's perfect.
Facebook.
People should just feel free to email me. They can call, but email's probably best. And I love to just kick an idea around, or look into something.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. What is service?
What does service mean to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's an essay. What does service mean to me? Well, it's about, for me, being fully human. It's about work coming from the heart. And so in my day job, I'm a social worker, and I work for the county, and I come across just about every type of situation, you can imagine. And I've been a social worker most of my life, so I've seen a lot of things. And I see myself in my life, in that way. It's not something I compartmentalize. So service for me is what can I do that's meaningful, that's connecting, that's constructive and not destructive. And nowadays, with things that are happening in the world, I feel, if anything, more responsible to be a voice for people that don't have a voice or are fearful of having one. It's a big question, but I like to think that I have a good balance in my life of being in service, and then having my own life. But
Right.
but there's so many, that we have so many opportunities to be of service to each other. And I'm a strong believer that community is really everything. And that, our culture in some ways promotes, some kind of very strong individualism. And I find that to be destructive.
Absolutely.
And so anything that I can do to promote connection, to promote community, I'm all for it.
That's fantastic. I really like that answer. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Talk about stories?
Well, I've got a lot of stories. Nothing comes to mind right away, but are there topics that come up for you a lot in your work, or that you see in the community in particular?
In doing this podcast, there's a lot of just hurting people.
Yeah.
People that are lonely. People that need connection. Since COVID, and I think even before COVID, I think we use COVID as a crutch, as a real point in time of, well, now I'm not connected. I don't know if people are actually connected before COVID, to be honest, because if they were connected and if they had community, COVID would not have ruined it.
I think that's a really good point to make. I think our culture is so...
It's this deep.
Set on individualism, make it on your own, have pride in yourself. And people get lost in that. And I think it's such a great point. And COVID did, destroy a lot of things.
It did.
But I think the destruction was, decisions that were made in the name of,
safety.
Exactly. Right. We all need to be safe. And there was a lot of pushback. And I myself got some hostility from people that I know. It was virtual, but from people that I know, because I was speaking up, and it's important to be able to speak up.
Right.
But I was speaking out against hostility and suppression. I was told to be quiet, and I'm being polite about that. I was told to, you don't know what you're talking about. And meanwhile, some of the things that I was voicing were things that people who were vulnerable were voicing to me.
Right.
So I hear that, and we're still feeling the effects of that, all the disconnection and the loss from that. And then here we are, there's just layers now of people being fearful. And I think at this point, what's happening in the world is impacting everyone, and not so indirectly anymore.
Right.
And that brings up for me, I just finished co-leading and performing at a men's retreat, and I was thinking ahead to if my brothers and I were to do another one, what would the theme be? And I thought of resilience, which has been suggested to me, and I think we need to be resilient, and that requires community. We can't truly be resilient on our own. There really is no such thing.
Yeah, the topic of loneliness is probably my biggest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just getting to and to fully accept people, for who and what they are, where they're at, and that they feel fully known and that they feel fully loved.
And when I hear loneliness, I mean, that's isolation. And
you can be in a room surrounded by people and be isolated. And everybody is like this, and though you're connected, you're not. You're isolated right there, and you're not seeing anything around you.
And then there's the extreme, which I see in my work. There's a lot of people who are really kind of, I mean, they're alone, like physically alone.
Right.
But isn't that a statement about our culture, that we can be so isolated and we could be around each other and we're not engaging? So that's such a huge, sadly, in our day and age, like, this is such an issue. My dear friend who I mentioned to you, he's a retired child psychologist, and he said that current statistics are that 1 in 3 youths are experiencing serious depression, with with being involved in activities being what would engage them. But for our culture, that's inexcusable. It's insane. And so that really hits me when you mention loneliness. We shouldn't have that to the degree that we do. We have grief ceremonies, which first began when people in the group realized that the vets were never welcomed home.
Yes.
And so I have a number of songs about grief and that I've played at funerals and things. And the other side of it is the power of having a theme. The retreat that I just co-led was about boyhood. It was about what do we experience in boyhood that informs who we become as adults. And it was so powerful in so many ways. But one of the ways was, these are mostly men who do inner work, like that's why they're part of the community, who, and giving feedback. Like, as an example, one guy said, I've been in therapy for, decades. And we talked about things, and my songs included things this weekend that I've never talked about. Like, and so it's the power, it's in some ways it's a different modality, but the shared experience of this, that's part of the power of it. And that, one person. So when I play, part of the dialogue is that people are hearing the song, they're reading the lyrics, and then we're eliciting, like, what came up for you. Like, the song is a version of my share. What did it bring up for you? And so then they share, and then other people are impacted by that share.
Yeah. And then they don't feel alone.
And they don't feel
like,
alone.
Whoa, there's more than just me that I'm quiet about. That's that's going through that.
So it becomes this gestalt thing, right? Where the power, like, it becomes a healing environment. And so I'm facilitating, in doing this, I'm creating a container as well. Like, this is a gig, but it's also a safe space. And so there's also an intentionality about the group. It's not just it will always be done in an environment that's somewhat contained,
right,
so that people feel safe. And ideally, what I've been looking for, ideally in finding a female vocalist, is somebody that has a little bit of training so that they can help me co-facilitate. And so, for me, I guess this is something we could share in our conversation. Well, ideally, there should be a female voice because of all the issues that can come up. Like, I want everybody to feel comfortable sharing. And some people might really need a female voice in the mix to feel safe enough to share something or to go somewhere. So ideally, it's a woman who can co-facilitate a little bit or something like that. It's tough to find. I'm expecting people to open up to me.
Yes.
So so ultimately that's where this is going, and I'm very close to being there. But in the meantime, I mean, what we've been able to do is really powerful. And it's also fun, like that's another thing that I like to say when, this is all very serious stuff, but it's, the music makes it fun. Like
Right.
we rock out and
Well, and that's healing because you're taking it from a place of pain, from a place of sadness, from a place of dark, and
Right.
you're bringing it light and making it lighter and making it, this is not what defines me. This is
right.
lifting me up. So I think
Right.
that has to be what it is.
It does have to be, and it's really important, and it's healthy. There has to be some humor. I can't play without goofing around.
Yeah, it should be that way.
It should be
Because
that
you
way.
can't defeat darkness with darkness. You can't.
No,
And
absolutely.
the only way to defeat it is with
Right.
light and
Yeah.
humor.
Right.
It is.
Right. So there's always going to be that. And I love that about it. I love that it can be entertaining and, it can be fun and it can be serious. And at the retreat, one of the brothers asked me, after having heard the songs, he said, Matthew, something like, why your songs are all so heartbreaking? Like, why did they have to be? And I said, apparently they do. I mean, it depends on the topic, but we're talking about things that are heavy. We're talking about things that people have trauma around or are struggling with. And so, there has to be heartbreak in there.
You have to break it down so you can build it back up better.
Right, right. And we have to really connect with each other. So, and there's also humor in there. There's always going to be some humor, and in the songs, they can be both.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
It's where you're laughing and crying.
Right. Right. And we're experiencing each other at a at a very human level, and actually, I'm going to go back because you were asking me, like, where did this come from? I had the benefit growing up of starting to go to rock concerts at an early age, and some of my favorite artists used multimedia and to get their messages across. And we all love like a good song about romance or whatnot, but it feeds me. There are songs that are healing because they're just speaking truth. They're speaking about heartbreak. They're speaking about what's going on in the world. And it upsets me that artists get shut down and character assassinated sometimes for going there, for saying things that are not, in the narrative. But I was impacted by that growing up, that people were able to say important things in their music and use multimedia to help bring it out. And so I love that I found a way to do that on a smaller scale, so that it's intimate.
Very.
And I can say I'm saying things that I wished were being said. I mean, I think that's what, as artists, ideally, that's what we're doing. We're saying things that we think need to be said, or that we want to hear.
How many shows or gigs have you done in this setting?
I'm not really sure how to answer that, because many of them have been like spontaneous, situations. But I did a house concert in July that was like more of a full-on thing. That's where that poster's from, and intend to do some more. And I've been performing as part of retreats. Somehow that's hard to say. So this retreat that I just did, we built the curriculum. Sounds so academic, but we built the
agenda.
The agenda. We had the theme, and I wrote songs on that theme, and then my partner, he, we broke down like, what are the themes here, and then he went to look at the research literature to see what it said on those themes. And so it was really beautiful because it happened organically. I had my process, and then he added built his process around it. And so it was beautiful, and entertaining. And so we had themes around boyhood, and there's so many, did you feel safe? Who influenced you aside from your family of origin? And questions about independence, like, what did that look like for you? I mean, it's so rich. There's so much there. So tying together the themes and the stories with what the research tells us, it was just so informative and just really impactful. And
what have been some other themes that you have?
Community. Yeah. There's a lot there. So all these different aspects of community, the themes that come up within it. I can speak to that if you like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
One of my songs looks at how, there are infinite different types of communities. But I found, as I was writing it, it was looking at how, with all of the different types of communities, there are things they all have in common. They all have there are always leaders that end up kind of stepping up, and there are people that are kind of lost, and there's the slackers, and there's conflict. And so I was writing this song. It's kind of a funny song, but it's about that communities just often have these same kinds of problems. And so I was looking at these things as archetypes, like within the community.
Sounds like a family.
Right. And then as I played the song, I was saying to people, you all exist in different communities. You've got your neighborhood, you've got whatever things you're interested in. There's a community of that. And I was suggesting that, do you play the same kind of role in these different communities? Because we tend to do that. And is it a role that you want to play? Is it a healthy role?
A role that you're proud of.
Is it a role you're proud of? And it's worth looking at. What is that like? Where do you find yourself in community? So there's a lot right there. And that says something, like you've created this thing here where you're playing this amazing role. We're fortunate to be in this progressive town that has a lot going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of towns don't have, aren't well resourced. And I mentioned I plan on using the theme of resilience because that's so important, in today's world for everyone. And relationships and grief, everybody, we all experience grief at different times in different ways. It's such a huge topic.
And you don't experience the same within your own.
Right.
Every grief is different. Right.
I actually had a big lesson in that recently. Would you like me to share about that?
Sure.
It was fascinating. I lost a family member I was very close to, which was a struggle, a big struggle, and continues to be. And not long after that, I lost my mother, who unfortunately I was not very close to because of family dynamics and issues that she had. I wanted to be close to her, but it wasn't really possible. And the thing that struck me was I felt very ready for her to be at peace, for lack of a better way of putting it. I felt like that, it was a good thing. And I had already been grieving the loss of our relationship while she was still with us, because that was my experience. And what struck me was, even though I had already grieved and I felt ready to let go, when she passed, all of this grief came up. I wasn't. The thing that I'm getting at was that really struck me. I wasn't sad. I wasn't feeling sad. I wasn't feeling I wasn't feeling angry. It was just pure grief in a pure form that I never expected.
It was. I'm a Stephen minister, so I am empathizing with you. But you were grieving the life that you wanted with her, the relationship you wanted, and that now that it's gone, that will never.
Right.
And I am so sorry for that.
And I think you're right on, and thank you. It's moving to have that reflected back, and I think you're absolutely right. And it really caught me off guard, and it was it became a necessary healing, and it also expanded my understanding of grief.
Yes.
Because we all experience these things.
You think you're ready. You're never ready.
Right. So it expanded also my appreciation that, oh my God, we all have to grieve. And I've met so many people that don't grieve. They haven't experienced that. And so we know that that's there and that's impacting them.
Our society is, no, you should be happy now.
Right.
It's been enough time. You're done. Get on with your life. And it's not like that. And we're not taught how to grieve. We don't know how to grieve. And you can't do it alone. You need community to grieve.
Right.
You need somebody else to walk with you. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck in that mud hole. And it's a real thing that can happen.
And our culture doesn't give us permission.
Absolutely.
You get, one bereavement day.
Yes.
Or,
You can go to the funeral,
like,
and
all
then
right,
you need to be back at work.
pull it together.
Yep.
And then some, oftentimes we don't really have the space to grieve because of, what life demands of us.
I got kids, I got work.
Right. So, we try to shove it away. And that brings me back to, so many of us have unacknowledged trauma. Many of us have dealt with it, but so many people haven't dealt with it, and they push it away. And I think, again, like our conversation didn't go here by accident, because that brings me back to, I think a lot of what I have to do is help people, gently, and with music and a little bit of fun, is like, go there some, and encourage them to go look at their grief, to look at their trauma. It's it takes work, and it takes allowing
A lot of intention.
And people are discouraged from doing it. They're taught to not do it.
Yep.
Don't cry.
Don't cry. Be a big boy. Suck it up.
That's right.
Buttercup.
Right. And
it's horrible.
And it's horrible, and it impacts all of us. And we're, it's one of the reasons that men's work is so important to me. We're in this, the patriarchy.
The man is not supposed to feel.
But don't feel. Mm-mm. And,
don't let it show.
And shut everything down.
It's not good. It's not good for us.
So so part of my mission there too is to, empower people to feel what they need to feel, to walk through it. The only way is through it.
Yep.
And to give each other permission. And
my dad put it this way. He said, things happen in life, and it's hard. And you can choose the hard.
Yeah.
You can choose the going through it, and it's going to be hard.
Right.
Or you can choose the trying to push it back, and it affects your life, and it's hard. Like, there's no easy road through it. And there's just not. So it's just, you got to choose which hard. Right. And eventually you're going to have to go through it. So, but you can't go through it alone.
And the not going through it, like, what is that?
It's affecting your body.
We're depleted.
Absolutely.
It makes us ill, and it impacts our relationships
every aspect
and everything.
Of your life.
Right. So, so I have a job. Here's my job.
It's amazing. It's encouraging to see that kind of passion and that wanting to heal in that way, and be there for people, and be intentional, and be. Everybody is unique, and bringing that up in everybody. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hearing it.
Absolutely. No, thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing it. I am excited to hear some of your songs. I know you sent me the one, and it's been a while. It got buried, but I got to pull that up about the veteran. I think that'll be really cool.
Yeah. And you need to hear some other ones that are, that one's very, very, very heavy because of what it's about,
That's great.
Many of my other ones, like, even if they're on, like, heavy topics, they're got a nice groove, they're a little more, it can be upbeat. I wrote a song about domestic violence it's like a pop song. It's very upbeat.
Thank you so much, Matthew, for coming on the show. I am real excited to have you on again, hopefully in the future.
Sounds good.
And, I just think what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing that work in the community.
Thank you for having me. It's been really fun talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you to my guests, my listeners, and my supporters. Serving together, we can strengthen our community. Please like and subscribe. Do all those other things. You got to do them. Because that's the easiest way that you can serve right now. All right. Now go, connect with others, and be a blessing.